Here we go. Getting nervous. All right, I'll call the meeting to order. It is 6 o'clock somewhere. It's 6:04 here though. Anyway, let's get the meeting started. All Alderman present, City Attorney Roger King, along with Melissa Martin, the city clerk. If you would, could you lead us in prayer and I should say we pray.
All right. Let's pray. Father, we thank you for today. Thank you for our time together. Just thank you for the privilege to be here to serve this great city. I pray that you'll be with us as we make decisions that will be for the betterment of our entire town. Thank you for our residents. Thank you for our employees, for all your blessings. And I pray that we will do things in a matter tonight that will be glorifying to you. Forgive us where we fail you. It's in Jesus' name that I pray. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If I misread anything, I left my glasses in my truck. So we'll go from there. Like,
I'll give these. Ooh. That's 20 years. 20 years.
I think I got a headache now, but anyway. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number one, is there a motion to approve the minutes from the public hearing of July 20th?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right? Okay, Melissa said we do that all at one time. Is there a motion to approve, I guess, 2 through 3 now? Is there a motion for that?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Proclamations and resolutions. Number 4 is a request to adopt a resolution amending the FY 2020 and 2021 budget. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, there are no bids and quotes, no old business. Let's get into the general business. Number 5, request to approve the docket of claims for the month of July 2021. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 6, request to pay estimate 1 in the amount of $5,225 to Warren Pavin for the 2020 overlay for Charlotte Dearman and Wake's recommendation. Is there a motion? Motion. Is there a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Number 7, request to accept engineering agreement with Charlotte Dearman and Wake for a traffic signal warrant evaluation at Hillcrest Loop and Central Avenue. Is there a motion?
It's a motion.
Is there a second for discussion? Second. Any discussion, Blake?
Yeah, what we're trying to do, this is an intersection that come up a whole lot whenever I was campaigning. I've spoken to numerous people in that area, up and down East Central Avenue. And it's one of our more dangerous intersections in the city right now. Might be the most dangerous, not quite sure. Literally the day after that I was speaking to Chief Hyatt about it, there's a wreck there that got caught on camera. It's just a lot of traffic there. We have the sports complex that's growing and growing. We're talking about adding soccer fields. A lot of school traffic goes through there. We also have that main neighborhood that, because of the development of Evelyn Gandy, is cutting across East Central Avenue. And so all of that's just stacking up and stacking up and stacking up. Because of it, cars are trying to drive down other roads, and kind of speeding through those areas. I've had complaints from that. And so that whole area. And then this is a request for doing a traffic study. A light there would cost about $200,000, something like, but if we can get some safety grants, we can dramatically cut that down. And so this is just an appeal to do a traffic signal warrant evaluation. If we can pass that, if we show that this intersection is significantly dangerous, I guess, then we can apply for a lot of safety grants and kind of bring that down on us and get some actual proof as to how bad that intersection is.
Any other discussion?
Explain warrant evaluation.
They're just gonna go through, I'm not entirely sure of all the details. It will cost us about $10,000, but they're gonna measure traffic, they're gonna measure, the points of times in which people are going through there, and, basically just studying flow, studying chances of incidents, things like that, take an assessment of the surrounding area.
They'll actually get some information from the PD about incidents that have taken place there.
I've had close incidents here myself. It's dangerous.
It includes actual engineering, because also look at slopes and all that, so it's not just counting cars. That's why it's simple, button pushers, some engineering
Well,
involved.
we have some $200,000 for traffic control light.
50 plus. Okay, like that. You heard that number? For a brand new red light.
Yeah.
Which I think dwarfs our budget for that item for the year, so we're wanting to bring that cost down.
If you see me out flagging traffic someday, that means.
Just for the board's consideration, this
Y'all
does
could
come
train
with
me,
cost.
couldn't you, Chief? Y'all could train me on how to do traffic
No,
flow.
we'll hold that for somebody else.
I just want a nice uniform and a whistle. Any other, is there any other discussion? Okay, we've got a first and a second, all in favor? Any opposed? Number 8, request to dispose of 3 security cameras in the financial department that are no longer in use. Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Number 9, request to renew banner with Petal High School soccer at a cost of $125. Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Number 10, request to adjust water services bill to 105 Highland Drive in the amount of $258 and late fees in the amount of $21.60 due to a leak. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Steve, you didn't answer the question. Is that their only?
Oh, yeah.
They signed the paper.
They signed the form?
Number 11, request to adjust whatever services or water services.
Oh, my goodness.
We'll try. Not so confusing. Request to adjust water services billed to 103 Green Hill Drive in the amount of $45 and late fees in the amount of $19.54. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Number 12, request to accept deed from Flint and Associates for 15-foot wide drainage easement at Crossroads Place. Is there a motion?
Discussion.
Motion.
Second, motion second. Okay, discussion, go ahead.
Just wondering, Mike, have you had a chance to get out there and see that before we?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Good, thank you, Mike, appreciate it.
I actually had a question as to whether or not that's really that culvert we were looking at, or if it's just surrounding the road. You clear that up?
No, it's a culvert that goes from the end of the cul-de-sac, and it parallels Ann Street, comes around, it turns into another street, and there's like a 20-foot wide buffer zone, and it parallels the buffer zone, goes all the way down to the creek.
Understood. And that's fairly new and working.
Oh, yeah, that was, That was designed by Clearpoint Engineering. We put all that in.
All right, got a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Number 13. Request to grant a sign variance to Jack's Family Restaurant site on Highway 42 to allow for a 25-foot overall freestanding sign and 145 square feet of sign area, per the Planning Commission's recommendation. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second for discussion.
Jeffrey,
Yes, sir.
can you explain, tell us what y'all heard on this?
Yes. We looked at.
Can you come up to the mic?
Sure.
Yeah. I think we're streaming live, so we want to try to help the home audience and make you famous. I mean.
We discussed this at length and looked at some of the things we've done in the past in that area, being on the commercial corridor, and what we look for the future expansion of that area, and the variances that we have allowed in the past, other than the monument piece that's there. And we looked at some, I think for the Zaxby's was 24 foot, and there was a couple more that we did on that side. I know early on when that started with the Walmarts and the Home Depot, they were not given any, and I know that was then, and it's grown tremendously since that point. So if we look at being consistent on what the current growth is and current establishment is and the growth, we're trying to give them as much opportunity as possible to give some visibility to their place of business, but not make something that looks out of ordinary as you're driving down. And working with them and talking to them how they could do that, because they started at 35 feet and it was really out of the norm. And we looked at a couple of areas of how they could change their lollipop sign, and they said that was something that they would be willing to do. Redraw it up if it would be something you guys would be willing to approve. So we're just trying to find consistency in what that needs to be in that section of the corridor.
So there are signs, like Zaxby signs right now, it's 24 feet. Are there any others that are around that same height?
Most all of them are. I think the bank is not, but I think the McDonald's one is probably close, 2022. Zaxby's is, I believe we might have given one for Park Place as well. So it's in line with what else is there already.
The ordinance is 20, right?
Ordinance is 20, so it's just a little bit above that.
Correct me if I'm wrong, it says request, the original is request for sign variance for property located at Highway 42 Jack's Family Restaurant. Request is allow for a 35-foot overall freestanding sign, 145 square feet, and we're bumping it down to 25.
They started at 35, but we tried to work with them to find something that we could, as our commission, could get behind and give a recommendation to you guys. And that's where we kind of went back to what we've done in the past, and we've done 24, and we picked 25 as a number that was in that range based on the
Actually, 35 is their standard sign.
35 is a standard for them, even though we found a couple that they did because of some other tighter ordinances that were ground-based, which is not what we wanted them to do. We're not putting it out there anyway. So this is more in line. And the other thing it does is the sign that's below it is the, I'm getting my glasses on, so there you go. It's the reader, that's a 145 square foot sign. It's a little bigger than what our ordinance is, but it's not exorbitantly large, and it is based on what they want to put for the information out there. They requested to keep it at that, and we didn't see a problem with that. We thought that was okay based on overall way that sign interacts with the lollipop and everything that's there.
I do have to kind of throw a wrench into this. One of the things I really like about Federal is that it doesn't look like every other town that's developing rapidly. And most of my constituents I've talked to, I've thrown this at them, and it's a no for most people I talk to. And what you just described here is that we're adding a foot, we're adding a foot, we're adding a foot, and eventually we're going to be right where everyone else has ended up with a very bright and tall skyline. I like that Federal is different. I like that Federal has the skyline. And I think that we're following these restaurants that are living in, not just restaurants, but businesses that are living in, on a very old model here. We don't need these big giant billboards in the sky anymore. We just don't find things that way anymore. And so I'm definitely opposed to this. I would like our ordinances to be enforced because they're a high standard, and I would like them to be different as we practice.
Appreciate it. But if I may, is if you look in, you talk to someone about a 25-foot sign, and what that means is it's hard to conceptualize unless you tell them something to compare it to. So if I were to tell you it was a 25-foot sign and say, if you want to see what a 25-foot sign looks like, or a 24-foot sign, go down to EGP and look at every sign of every one of those buildings that are on that side. It's going to be in line with, and that's why we picked 24, because we're like you. I don't want to be like every other town where they're up here and down here, it's different, undulations. We don't want that. We want something that's more consistent. We want something we can get behind, something that we've got to have businesses to give them opportunities to show for people that's coming by on traffic. Because most everybody has their cell phones and looks at it that way, but sometimes you do get that spur of the minute customers just driving down the road. So that's why we picked 25. And we would like to see the ordinance maybe changed and adopted, because if you look at the 20s, that we did look at the Walmart signs, look at the Lowe's signs that are on that side of the road, you can't see them, especially with the increased speed that you're getting that's going to be on the EGP. And that's why we said they probably would give them some leeway and give them that extra 5 feet, which will get them up a little bit. It does give a little more free access there because they've got that service road on that side. And those are the kind of things that we went through to make that decision. And that's why we would like to look at that and say, we do need to look at what our businesses are asking for and trying to give them some opportunities to do a good job to market. But is 20 the right way? I don't want to give variances to ordinances either. I like that we will stand behind our ordinances, but if it's impeding on business opportunity to make money and to bring more business to this city, we look like, is it overreaching? Is it something that needs to be revisited? Do we need to see what makes sense today?
I will
And
say,
to plan that way.
I was definitely in the same position, and whenever I thought all of those signs were at 20 feet, then I really wasn't on board with this, but kind of finding out that more of them are already at 24, 22, 23 feet. I'm willing to consider it. As I would say, is this the plan that's being presented, y'all's official recommendation?
What's being presented here at 24 feet and allowing them to have that sign is our official recommendation to you. And one of the requests that we like to put on that is one of the, as we're revisiting all of our ordinances, this is one of the points that we want to pin down to say, let's look at this, and in that section is 24. Now it may be different sections of town based on traffic flow, based on.
So on the LA Gandy corridor?
Yeah.
I guess.
It's on that corridor, on a 4-lane corridor with a high traffic level at a higher rate of speed, other than like 35 miles an hour. So it's a little different.
So I guess in part, the conversation that we can have real quick is, would we consider bumping that up to 25 universally? Because it'll be up to us to enforce it in the long term. And so if a few weeks from now, we're going to bump it up to 25 feet, then arguably it's kind of reasonable to allow this sign.
Even the exact placement of the stuff, it's that rank the car wash, right?
I think this one's beyond my car wash.
So as you're going over that hill, we have a taller sign, as we go down to the sign, it's already 25 feet down at the next piece, right?
Yeah, it's actually just already.
I'm trying to picture it as an artistic view.
And I think that's one of the ordinances, when we get ready to start looking at ordinance, get planning committee.
Yeah.
That's what it's-
We got ordinances that,
Put it in the paper, please, so it's not speculating. I can't do that.
but we got ordinances now, that the federal got approved. And some of them we need to really look at.
I think this is one of our classier ordinances that makes us a classier town. Moving forward, I'd like to remain a classy town.
I definitely don't want to go to 25. I don't.
Well, 24 now, 25 tomorrow.
What that is, too, you
It's
look at one at Walmart now, and you can't always see them. I mean, Walmart's there, but as far as.
The problem with those buildings is when they start to step back and they don't have lane in front of them. That's always been the problem. That's why that's.
Yeah, that's the location, not the size.
Any other questions?
I'm good.
I appreciate what y'all do. I usually do take a hard line, which really gives us some guidance.
Yeah.
We try to do as much due diligence to them, at times, any way we can. We appreciate y'all.
Good deal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
got a motion and a second, and, all in favor?
Aye.
All against?
Nay.
I'll pass that on the board. All right, number 14, request to accept the resignation of Mark Rivers in the Water Department effective July 23rd, 2021. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
We got it. We got a second.
Oh,
Second.
Second, okay, for discussion.
Yeah, and this is just a reminder, because, our biggest turnover I've seen last year and a half has been your water department, and it's a tough deal, so this is more of a public service announcement. I mean, I know what we have to do as an organization, but, you know, as a certified, one of the positions certified that we have clean water in our city, and it's important. And, so I know you're going through a lot of turmoil, because like I said, when it's a constant revolving door to make sure your job hard, so I plead to the YouTube team out there that if you want to work for the team here, there's opportunities, but we just have to, you know, grow our team and build it. So it's more of a PSA, because like I said, it's hard to complain if you don't have people to do the job. So thank you, Mike, for that's all I have.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Number 15, request to accept the resignation of Timothy Brown in the Water Department effective July 23rd, 2021. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Number 16, request to affirm emergency purchase of Herring Group Services to repair manhole on Panther Drive and Lake Loop in the amount of $7,850. Is there a motion, please? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, we're just on the right speed. Number 17, request to adjust water services bill to 123 Skyline Terrace in the amount of $105 and late fees in the amount of $29.44 due to a leak. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
discussion.
Now, you took the other answer to vote, I thought. I thought we
Yes.
voted. Didn't you get it? Just give a slip or a note. That way we remember. Anyway, all in favor?
Aye.
Number 18, request to authorize Shell Government Waste to submit an application for emergency road and bridge repair funds to be used on South George Street bridge repair. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second, and I'll kind of explain it too.
Second.
This is actually part of some grant money that we're seeking to get. We can put in before most of our bridges, I think, other than maybe two, fall under county/state. Just keep nodding. So we only have a couple of bridges that are actually, we're on the hook for. So obviously, if we get a chance, we can get some outside money that can come in and do some repairs to the South George Bridge. It's not in danger, but it's an older bridge. So obviously, if we get some money to upgrade it to make it last for another 50 years, we would like to see that. It's one of those things where we'll just talk about what the old application turned in. Hopefully, it'll turn up some money for us that we could do it. But obviously, you start with the application process to see how we end up on that.
Mayor, can I just add that, I think we have our bridges, we have 12 of them that got inspected over the last 2 years.
We just got an inspection and they just received them, and I'll be putting that in the next year's budget of all the things they found wrong that we need to repair.
Every bridge had some deficiencies that MDOT came back to us and say, most of them were safety, some were upgraded to new standards. But yeah, we have more, we have, besides the major one from Eric, there's a lot of infrastructure issues that Mike's tracking, but that he's gonna come hit us up hard on that budget.
The other bridge is East 8th, isn't it, over Matthews Branch? Right.
The state passed the new buffer thing that goes on the end of each bridge on each side, and some of those don't have that. You got some signage that need to be changed. There's some other temporary patching of cracks that need to be sealed. It's not a structural crack, but it just needs to be sealed. There were several things in the packet that I gotta work through when we start our new budget to make sure I budget for the rail down on Carterville where somebody's hit the side of it. It needs to be replaced. That railing's expensive, so that, I'm waiting for my next year's budget to submit all of that so that, we'll be able to fix it for this year's budget, wasn't budgeted to correct all that.
They all pass safely, it's just basically sustainment type that could, if the for too long, then we have an issue with safety.
Let's make that clear. They all pass that.
Yes, yes, they all do.
Yeah, all bridges pass that, yes.
Alrighty, there's a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Number 19, this is to have a discussion regarding a will serve letter for 10 to 12 houses at the corner of Temple and Sunrise Road. Is there a motion?
Another discussion.
Is there a second for discussion? Yeah. Yeah, this is something that we had talked about in our work session. This is actually some property that Fairleigh Construction is building outside of the city, and they want to tie into our sewer. They would pay for everything, and we would send one bill to Fairleigh Construction for that. Typically, a will serve letter you would never see on an agenda, but this being outside the city, I wanted to bring it before the board because I didn't want to find out later on that I'm hooking everybody up to sewer outside the city. Usually, if somebody's building inside the city, we're on the hook for it, so we give them a will serve letter so they can get all their financing and construction papers taken care of. But anyway, we had discussed it last night about this and everything. Like I said, it's outside the city. We do have other Eastover, Green Bay, Thornberry. Thornberry that is actually outside the city, but they are our own city sewer and everything. One of the things we have is obviously we've got two different billings that go out. You get a Barrontown water, for instance, and then you get a city bill. So that makes it a little more confusing. And then they're on Waste Pro with the county, not with the city. So it does make it a little more complicated. The decent thing about this is that we would know we would get paid. So it wouldn't be an issue from getting paid.
And we're not gonna have no money involved in it.
Yeah.
How do we know again we're getting paid?
We would send the bill to him, and as we talked about it last night, I guess the confusion, or I guess they sell the place 5 years from now, 10 years from now,
We negotiate.
they'll probably be talking about, who was the board back then?
So what does the city stand to gain from this?
Yeah, customers, that would be it. I mean, obviously, we're not getting the property taxes, we're not getting the construction fees or anything like that. That would be in that case, if there's 10 houses, that'd be over $10,000 in permit fees. I think there's actually some more stuff that we had on there. What's our tap fees?
Right now, I think, what, $650 a tap?
Of course, we're not, I mean, that's probably break even best, isn't it? With what the cost of all that stuff is.
Mike.
And, like I said, I told them I would bring it up, but I wanted y'all's input on it before I did anything.
I just have two questions to start with. One is more procedural. This will serve letter, is that a unilateral decision that you can sign, or is that something you bring to us?
I don't know that I've ever seen one in my 12 years.
Okay, I texted it the first time.
This is the only unusual thing.
So
It's
basically,
by law, if you build in the city, I've got to provide you the service. If it's, I guess if it's available, for instance, if there's a sewer not running out in front of your house, then we would have to, but in certain instances, if you're building a house in Trailwood, for instance, there's sewer there, we have to allow you to tap into it as long as you follow your construction guidelines and everything.
well, yeah, so I appreciate you bringing it to the Alderman for us to consider.
No, it was a learning curve for me too. I was like,
Because whenever you do resources outside of city limits,
Yeah.
I mean, like they're tapping into taxpayer money that we've been investing in that infrastructure for the last 30 years.
Yeah.
So I appreciate, and I'd like to see that continue if there's ever another outside city limits request. They come
yeah.
before, so I appreciate that time.
Is there any reason that we would ever say no to
somebody inside the city,
somebody outside?
outside the city? Yeah, I don't know that has it ever come up in your time? In my 12 years, it's never, something like this never even hit the agenda. Nobody's ever asked. What happened is when the city did annexation out towards Trailwood, that area out towards east, they ended up purchasing Camco Utilities and Trailwood. Trailwood is obviously all in the city, but Camco Utilities reached outside of what was allowed in the annexation. So you get Eastover, Green Bay, which is a good distance down Temple Road, and you get Thornberry, which is just kind of next, close to Green Bay. I mean, it's somewhat of an unusual situation, but Hattiesburg has the same situation as well.
And this land was part of the failed annexation attempt.
Was this in that? I think it was in the.
It was.
I don't think it was.
I honestly don't think it was.
On the east
There
side,
was some, well,
east side of Sunrise.
because the house right next to it, where Glenn Clinton lives.
Yeah.
His house was
Was
not
not
in
in
there.
there, okay.
So we're gonna
Yeah,
have to go
not
around his house and come back down. I don't think it was. I think it somehow went further east before it came back to Temple Road or something.
Okay, somebody is out there thinking, well, why don't we just annex them, right? I'm thinking,
Why don't we just annex?
it's the same process, where you just, they would say, yes, we'll do that service, I just annex them.
But no,
But, yeah, and then, but they, you go through the same process, so it still could be a lengthy.
Even if they voluntarily want to handle it.
But this could potentially in the future help us make that argument.
That we help out people outside of the city.
We'll provide services there.
We already have a.
Correct.
So not all, we
kind of did that last time on a couple situations.
just will serve with volunteering water and sewage on this thing.
No, it's just sewer, because it's tearing down water. Area.
Mayor, can I have the, DPW or Public Works Company to describe
Yeah, come on,
the infrastructure of that end of town and the impact that adding, could you come up here and educate us on that? Cause I know this has come up 3 or 4, at least twice, previous sessions, on the previous boards, that has been, kicked down the road, so.
So I think there was one down on Harrington Road that was going to be brought into it, and our system just couldn't handle it. And now this one's being brought in, it's only 10 to 12 houses, but we are having, sewer problems out in that area. We're just having so much sewer, infiltration and all those kind of stuff. So it'd be, you're just adding more into that problem if you was to do it. We're looking at trying to remedy some of that with the money that we're getting coming in to help with that. But as of right now, we still having that problem out there. So it's up to y'all to figure out what y'all like.
I appreciate it, Mike. So it would have been a lot easier if it just would have been inside the city limits, right?
Well, if it's inside the city, we try to always provide it for our people, especially if they ask for it. So we always try to do that.
So Mike, on these infrastructure, sorry to take over here for a second, but, I know that in some areas we have to pressurize our sewage. It's not necessarily gravity fed. And so does that matter here? And or is this one of the areas where we're having to pressurize the sewage and pump it as opposed to gravity? And does that change the infrastructure calculus in your mind?
It's going to be pressured line. Actually, they're going to have to put grinders in each one of the houses and pressures into the line that's coming from Green Bay, going down and dumping into the other subdivision. Then it'll hit 1, 2, 3 lift stations before it ever gets started coming back this way to Hattiesburg. So we got several lift stations going to hit, and that's why I say we're having a lot of problems with some of this. We just got some of this infiltration and stuff we're trying to work on. These new monies coming in, some help us try to remedy that problem. Right now, we do have that problem.
Thank you, Michael. Like I said, complexity, no one appreciates how that works. And I guess the last thing I commented would be that, well, obviously with that right now, I think,
Last time I had told him whatever happens, I mean, obviously it's available, but circumstances change, he could, ask again, or if it was, we could tailor it to whatever our needs were at the time. But, like I said, I wanted to bring it before you guys and you guys and be open with y'all about that.
appreciate that.
But anyway,
It sounds like our public works director doesn't want to do it.
It's up to y'all. I just,
No.
that's just the mask is hiding.
No, he just answered the question. He was
Anyway, yeah. So yeah, just, I mean, whatever you guys think. Is there a motion that I give him that will serve?
I made a motion to
Oh, yeah,
deny
yeah,
plus,
yeah.
We just had one.
and deny plus, every time.
Is there a second to deny?
Second.
All in favor of denying?
Aye.
Any opposed?
You gonna vote nay? You, did you vote nay?
Voted nay to deny.
Yeah, I know that kind of, me kind
Voted
of.
aye to deny.
Yes, we know.
You voted nay too?
We need to.
I'm no hassle.
We can't do that.
Have a little shopper.
Can we just confirm what we were, at the vote on that, make sure that
The motion
a new board, we're still learning.
motion was to deny the request and it passed 4-3 to deny.
So what do we do with the motion that was on the floor?
agenda.
About what was actually on the agenda? Because we motioned and seconded, and
Actually,
then
my,
we
I
went
guess,
straight to
That was
motion
for
to deny.
yeah, the agenda was discussion, yeah.
That's the motion in the subject discussion.
But we did discuss something.
Specifically discussion.
The vote was to deny.
I know what.
They changed the motion.
Wording changed on the way there.
I think we're all right. I think we're good.
Should be okay.
Orders and ordinances, number 20, request to adopt an order reappointing Sean Polk to the planning commission. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second for discussion.
Discussion, go ahead.
Did you talk to Sean?
Yeah, I did.
Whose appointee is that?
This is, I should have had that on there, it's the mayor's appointment. Well, y'all still, what, 5 years?
Four.
Forever.
Yeah, you got to say, yeah, just until they tell you to leave. huh?
Yeah, until they, yeah.
Every
5 years.
Yeah, everybody gets one, yeah, everybody gets one appointment.
Who else, who comes next? Yeah.
That's not any question.
Well, I think it's got a vacancy, don't we have a vacancy?
Yeah, he's a vacancy. Miss Tommy was here.
That's one month.
So Sean is almost like at large, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. All in favor?
He said he'd wait today. That's good. Thank you.
What's, just for the record, how often do y'all meet? Y'all meet only when there's a need to meet, right?
We meet on the second and fourth Tuesdays of every month when there is a need for our service.
And here we go, here's the tough part, tell everybody how much you guys get paid.
Yeah.
It's like $100, it's $100 a
50
month.
bucks,
Is it 50?
meeting, 50 bucks per meeting if we have a meeting.
So if there's not a meeting,
We don't get any.
When those meetings are?
They are the second and fourth Tuesdays, alternating Tuesdays for this meeting, 6 o'clock.
So next to,
Next Tuesday, in fact, we have,
If
yes, we do, we have to put on the board. We will
So,
be
and you're saying you want to have more meetings?
I didn't say that, but we do need to have more meetings, and yes.
The more
in
business that
service
goes on.
of the city, I do want to have more meetings, because there are things we need to get.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
they would
And we're
be,
here to do that.
they'd be the repository of that. Also, we're gonna see it as a board, you'll see us voting on setting a hearing date, is where you see a lot of the stuff that'll come before now. And you won't even think about it, it'll be a month out, and so you just have to make note of it, then. But, anyway, number 21, request to adopt an order appointing John Smallwood as public defender pro tem. Is there a motion?
Discussion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion. Go ahead.
Just for education for all of us, that Darrell Little's, he's National Guard flying officer, so he'll be deploying, for a deployment. So this is to backfill him. So I appreciate, the service of, Darrell, and like I said, what he's done for us. But again, just, it says go for Godspeed, but, he leaves something in October.
I think about,
Not to do any offset, but
he may come back to one more Tuesday for us when we hold our municipal boards. So I think he has one more of those, and then in September, I think. Now, I don't know when he's actually gonna be, out of the country, but,
yeah, but he relives a real life JAG officer life, so, we appreciate his service.
super guy. That's fantastic people over in our court system. All righty, well, let's see, I need to vote on that, don't I? All in favor? Number 22, this is to accept the certificate of attendance for Michelle Freebeck, court clerk conference. Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we can skip number 23. All right, stay seated, folks. Stay seated. Number 23, it is that we would want to reflect in the minutes so that we can see that the board and the city is congratulating Alderman Steve Stringer on being named to the Mississippi Municipal League Hall of Fame in recognition of over 20 years of service as an elected official. It is their motion. Is there a second?
No. He won't give it back.
it during the time, when I asked him to do something, like, ask him to do something, do it, and he did it. And when the people out there can't get him, they call me, I give them. They call him, he said, no, because they gonna call me back if he don't call me.
Because that is the mayor of Springfield, so.
Now that he's a Hall of Famer, if you have trouble getting him now, you may be a little big for him.
I'm gonna tell him who else will get them.
Congratulations, Steve. Like I said, I wanted the minutes to be able to reflect
Thanks so much.
technology. All right, here's the fun part, executive session. We need to request clear room to turn the meeting for
We're gonna do
executive
public
session. Oh, yeah, we'll do that for you. Yeah, let's go ahead. Is there any public comment? Go ahead, ask, what's your comment? Is there any? Look at this.
I didn't sign up, but I do have.
Oh, wait a second, you got.
I did.
Oh, yeah, we're gonna, yeah, you get in.
Good evening, Mr. Black. Several years ago, when the war got constructed out there and they wanted to put that real high sign in and put, and all that. And I got to thinking about that, and I really looked into a bunch, and I rode several of the streets in Pelham. And when, I just got a suggestion when y'all start looking at your sign heights. Where the wharf is and actually Jack's is going beside the Mexican restaurant. And Arby's is going on the other side by the coffee much there. But when I got to looking at it, if you're right down Central Avenue or Main Street, and you're right along, you're looking at a 25-foot sign and you're 15 foot from it. That's a big sign. If you're on the road, maybe Highway 11 or somewhere like that, and it's a 50-foot right of way out there, 25-foot sign may be okay. But on Evelyn Gandy, when you're out there, you're actually going 55 miles an hour. I think that was mentioned earlier about the speed. But you're looking at a sign that's 300 feet over there. Now, I think 25 feet ought to be a maximum. I'm not suggesting doing higher signs, but I'm thinking you might want to consider when you're doing your new ordinances and everything, to kind of put in there the distance from the road to the sign to have some kind of configuration in how high the sign could be. You may want to do on Central Avenue, you may want to, and Main Street, you may want to do a 8-foot sign or a 5-foot sign, because my office was on South Main for years. I got a 5-foot sign, it did great.
And we did the same thing at Walgreens, didn't we?
Yeah.
Mr. Flynn, are we talking about, like, with the signs that we've got, say, around, like you were talking about, if you're driving down, you're considering the 25-foot sign being for the new businesses that are coming in?
No, I'm just saying on Evelyn Gandy or any other road that might have a 300-foot sight distance. Because then I even went and took pictures of the signs and took them back to the office and and drew triangles on them to scale to try to figure what that difference of what you're actually looking at. When you look at a sign that's 300 foot out there, it looks like a 4-foot sign. But if you look at a 25-foot sign and you're right at it, and I know we got the frontage road there. So if you ride down Evelyn Gandy, you look at the signs that's there now, going down Evelyn Gandy, and then go down by the bank and ride down the frontage road. And when you ride down the frontage road and the sign's right there, a 25-foot sign seems to be maybe too big. But when you're out on Evelyn Gandy, it looks like it's real small.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think our founding code people address that somewhat, because in 7530902, it says, it gives us a 500 foot, we can raise it to 30 feet. So that calculation, that line of sight calculation was currently addressed. And we need to go back and look at it, we might. But that exemption is in the code.
I think the reason for that was like Lowe's or somebody that was way back off the road that you could see it. And I'm more generally just talking like the along Evelyn Gandy. or any other road or thoroughfare that gets a wide right of way like that does. And then just some kind of connection, I think would make a difference there.
25-foot sign makes more sense to the bottom next to the Mexican restaurant than it does going over the hill. That extra 5 feet's not gonna be noticeable. It's just not.
No, it's,
House in front of every business.
Yeah.
25-foot sign is just like, it was discussed by the planning commission, it's gonna look consistent with what's out there. It's not gonna look out of place. A 35-foot sign would look out of place. And, I find even the car wash asked for a variance on their sign, they wanted a taller sign, and it was left a low sign. I just wanna make that suggestion.
Well, thank you. Now, is this what you're volunteering to help us with the working group to do the code reference, or when we look on the codes? They'll sign up to?
Glad there.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'd like to bring to you all attention again, I brought this information before, and, some people were gonna look into it and never did. But anyway, the intersection on George Street and West Seventh is a dangerous intersection. I've almost got hit 3 times there. It's better because they're cutting that grass, they're keeping that trim over there. But that intersection is very dangerous. And I have asked you all to look into a 4-way stop sign there instead of a 2-way stop sign, because it will help tremendously. Because like I say, I've almost got hit 3 times there.
I did look into that.
Okay.
I spoke
I'm
to
sorry.
Clyde about that,
I'm sorry.
and he did do some research on that, so I don't know if I know it's been a little while.
Yeah, I'm trying to refresh my memory. I know I went down there and I think
It was
made a
where we used,
recommendation.
there used to be a 4-way stop there.
There
but
was.
Years ago, it was changed
And
to
there
2-way.
still needs to be another one again.
I would like that, I'll take a look into that a little further. I would like to agree to disagree with the lady, but I don't see that being an issue right now, my professional opinion. I do remember, going there, and it's my understanding, memory corrects me, I was asking Mike, it only trimmed back the bush there. It was a matter of going west on 7th to George. When you looked, north, there was some blockage there. If that's cleared up, I mean, you can see completely down both north and south bound directions on George. And it's a matter of just, in my opinion, I know you're not gonna like it, is paying attention. If you can see the view, then it's just a matter of paying attention to what's coming, in my opinion.
It's better since they trimmed it,
If
but it's
they'll
still
keep
a
it
dangerous
trimmed.
intersection, because you got, even with it trimmed, you got to come out and somebody's flying through there. It's dangerous.
And I'll be glad to go look at it again tomorrow. I get no problem revisiting.
For the, just sort of the history, we actually did have, a 3-way stop at West 8 at one point, which is just right down here. And we had removed the signs there. I think the neighbors were complaining about hearing the brakes stop, all that stuff. But anyway, anybody else got any other comments?
Just want to remind everybody that this Saturday, we're having our 3rd annual Great American Duck Derby at the Grand Paradise Water Park in Commons. We will be selling our adoption papers for ducks. We're not selling ducks, adoption papers for a little plastic duck to race in this Great American Derby up until Saturday. So you still have chances to go to www.pedalduckderby.com, purchase your ducks for a chance to win the grand prize of $2,000. And this is to benefit the construction of an infant toddler playground here in Pedal.
Former Mayor Jack Gay won it last year.
Yeah, one of the prizes.
Yeah, one of them.
One of the prizes.
He won
We have 3 prizes.
He won first.
He won 3rd place. So, please go to duckderby.com and purchase your ducks. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for the work y'all do on all of that, Valerie. And I know Lenny does a lot of work. Jamie Lott does a lot of work. And a lot of people do a lot of work. I guess I'll go real quick on the mayor's report. Obviously, we went to the Mississippi Municipal League conference last week. Thought we got some good information down there. On a side note, we looks like we're going to get ultimately $2.6 million, for, the initial guidance is for, sewer, water, and broadband. We should get a final guidance on what that can be spent on, hopefully in the middle of September. The state is also going to get some money. The county has gotten some money, so we've got a lot of moving parts there. We've gotten 1.3 million of the 2.6. So, I guess in a nutshell, if somebody heard that, they thought, oh my Lord, they're gonna fix all their sewer problems. We have many millions of dollars more in sewer issues than 2.6 million. Hopefully with the state's money, we can do some stuff that'll get us to when some of our debt gets paid off in 28 and 32, and really push us into a generational type thing. And that's what Lieutenant Governor Deborah Husband's trying to push for people to do. Think long-term, think of some stuff that you're never gonna get to do under normal circumstances, get it knocked out, and push the ball forward as best you can. But anyway, just let us know we've got
We
some of
may
our
have an
money.
opportunity to build that money too, right? We may have an opportunity to build that money a little bit.
Yeah, they even said one up, like put it in an interest-bearing account and stuff like that. Have a couple of years to spend the money, so obviously we're in the planning stages of it, and it's too early for us to sit down as a group to do it, because we don't want to plan for a $1.3 million project, because we know we're going to get 2.6. We got 2.6, the state's will get some money. I'd like to see that number turn into, 5.2, to be honest with you, but we've got the projects out there, and it's going to be an application process.
Can you tell me again what we can?
Right now, the guidance is sewer, water, and broadband.
Oh, no. That's not what I wanted to hear.
That's the initial guidance. Now, they can get it run a coffee pot back there, and I can tell you what certain entities are pushing for them to also add, which would actually be somewhat not as beneficial to us, but that's a whole other.
When you hear my magic,
That's a whole other coffee pot. Anyway, obviously, y'all heard the numbers. Hattiesburg, I think, is getting 12 million. The county's getting 14 million. The county doesn't have any sewer or water. And I believe there's 12 utilities in the county. So obviously, I've turned some paperwork over. I guess that's part of the mayor's report too, is turned some numbers over to Supervisor Burkett Ross, saying, hey, here's some projects we'd love you guys to partner in. Those sewer entities, there are sewer folks that are outside the city. I'd love the county to come in and help us with that. But obviously, we've got to have plans that they can partner with us and just not say, hold our hand out. So hopefully they'll walk down that road with us. But hopefully we'll get decent news on final guidance in September. And that'll really help us out.
What ward does Burkett Ross live in?
I think he lives in Ward 4. So now you're responsible for. How much can we expect? Anyway, if we could, I'd like to see, is there a motion to see the need for an
I want to ask
executive
you a question. That's how you read it at. Why do the person, like the ones on the plan committee, why do the person have to be in the ward, in their ward to be on that planning committee?
They don't actually.
Yeah, they know the issues in that
And
ward.
they put that be one restaurant.
But everybody that you put in, I don't know the issues in that community, because I don't be hard myself, learn their people, and they put in their ward.
Yeah.
Because everybody that was on that committee didn't know them folks. You got to know your people.
Are you talking about the folks that came forward to it?
Right, these are others or something, they need to visit and know their people that's in their ward.
They trying, you know, get it on.
You got to know your people in that ward. If you don't go out and know your people in that ward, you can't get your people.
You better watch out, we're gonna sign you up
And
for
my
that.
thing is, if you, I think you have to be in the ward to be on the plan.
I guess there's probably something we
If
can
they're
do
being
where you
represented.
could not do that, but yeah, obviously, I mean, everybody gets to pick up here, so.
Keep in mind, Mr. said, that's not a elected position, that's.
And that's what I know. I'm saying, why you can't get somebody that's not in your ward to be on the plan committee? They gotta be in your ward to be on the plan committee? That's what I'm asking.
It will,
Why?
Representation.
I wanna know why.
Oh, that's good, that means every corner of town has a representative.
how would you know if everybody was in one ward and you didn't feel like they were speaking for you? So they wanna make sure one of those people's in your neighborhood, so that.
Unless it was in your ward, they were all.
Well, I can speak to someone that's in y'all ward. Y'all, the one that you in your ward, like ward, cause this lady right over here, she had, baby when she didn't know who I was, or who he was. What she say, Arizona. He didn't even come down and fix the road, as I told you.
Mine is Bernard Jackson, he lives in Springfield, right?
You know, that, I mean, I'm doing it, that's how I wonder why. Because, you know,
It's just so that everybody in town feels like they've got somebody speaking for.
And as you said, they're not making a lot of money, so I mean, it's really a thankless job from that time, I mean, from a time standpoint, you guys. We're fortunate, in Jeffrey's situation, he's been in so long, some stuff you don't have to look up anymore, do you?
Yeah.
You just know, I remember when.
I've been paid.
Good job.
They're gonna start it.
Yeah. Mr. Hayden also, like.
I'm gonna leave that
Got a motion out there, second, to go into executive session.
Second.
All right, you see the need to go into executive session? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, clear the room, folks.
Hey,
Valerie.
Yeah.
I just meant.
Do what?